Good, Dr. Suzuki. Thank you. Welcome back. Nice to see you. You know, before I get into more good news with you, we talked a little bit off the top about the oil spill in the Gulf. And obviously, you're not ambivalent about it. It's a disaster. But when you look at that scenario, what's the next step? What do you think we do from here?
Well, I think that we're going to have to start. First of all, they claim that they have safety valves that they install. Obviously, someone's BSing someone there.
Right.
And, you know, when you start thinking they're going down through 4,000 to 5,000 feet of water and then drilling down beneath the earth after that. This isn't brain surgery. It's a pretty crude kind of technology. Right. This is going to happen over and over again. And it's not just the big spills. Every day there's these tiny spills going on. And I think that rather than do what many people seem to do now to say, hey, that really makes the tar sands oil look clean. Holy cow, this is great.
Well, relative, it does.
No. We're objecting to the way tar sands oil is being developed now because of the pollution in the air and the water and so on. Just because there's a spill in the Caribbean doesn't make the problems there any less.
Right.
What we should be doing is saying, maybe there's a different source of energy.
But
a carbon-free energy.
People have talked about that certainly more and more over the last little while. There's open to. I even know that people know that I love riding motorcycles, and there's a fully electric motorcycle out there that's coming, and people are talking about it. How long do you think we are? How far are we away from that being a daily routine for people?
Well, I mean, it's right now. It starts right now in the way that we live and use energy. You can save money by becoming more energy efficient. Mm-hmm. But in terms of that transition, we have to make the whole issue of our energy future something in the next election. There's going to be an election within a year. Yeah. We've got to make it a top priority so that we begin to get going on it. Now, Ontario has already done something very, very progressive. We talk about it in the book. Hermann Scheer in Germany started what's called Scheer's Law.
They're the leaders at this, aren't they, in that level?
Absolutely. And Germany has created tens of thousands of jobs in the renewable energy sector. And all he did was say, anybody that's got electricity made by renewable energy, wind, solar, geothermal, you get top priority. We will guarantee we'll take every bit that you give at top dollar. So if you want to build a windmill in your backyard, and you're going to...
If I want to build another one.
You mean, yeah. Do you?
No, I wish. I live downtown. I don't have a backyard, but okay.
But if you're to build one in your backyard, you could get a loan from the bank because you could say to the bank manager, listen, the government has promised that every bit of electricity I put on, they'll pay me, top dollar for 20 years. And the Ontario Green Plan, Green Shift, is exactly based on Scheer's principle.
What is it about what's happening in Germany and certain countries in Europe that allows this to occur? Because Canadian people have an appetite for this.
The problem is that in Europe, when the Arab oil embargo, and you all are too young to remember that, in 1973, there was an Arab oil embargo, and we don't remember that, but the price of oil went through the roof. There were lineups at gas stations, and in the United States, of course, they did what they always do, started shooting each other at the gas pump. I mean, it was really very, very scary. The result of that is countries like Germany and Denmark went, oh my God, we don't have any oil. All of our oil is imported. Look what the heck, they've got us over a barrel. Yeah. And they started to say, what's the alternative? Well, guess what? Denmark is one of the leading countries in wind. Germany said, we've got to do something, get off oil. Canada set up a very distinguished scientist, Ursula Franklin, to say, what do we do about this? And in 1977, she came out with a report called Canada, a Conserver Society. 1977, she said, we've got to conserve our resources, get off using so much fossil fuel, start in renewables, and we could become world leaders. And what the Germans and Danes said, we got to do it. The Canadians did what Canadians do. They said, thank you, Dr. Franklin, took the book, put it on the shelf, and forgot it. That's the tragedy. Right. People say to me, you always look like you're pissed off. I am pissed off because we should know better. We've got, and that's what this book is all about. There are solutions out there. This isn't about picking up litter or recycling. Yeah. This is about fundamental change in the way we do agriculture, energy.
Well, it's called More Good News to imply that there's lots of good news out there.
And we did, the first book was called Good News for a Change.
Right,
well, guess what? There's lots more good news.
you're finding that people are far more open to this conversation now, and I think it's because the high school generation and the early college generation, this is part of their life. They've been recycling their whole life.
Look, they're going to live with whatever is not done
Yeah.
today. Old guys like me, what happens now is of very little consequence. I'm in what I call the death zone. I'm in the last part of my, and there's nothing terrible about it. We're all going to die, right? And I'm in that last part.
If anybody doesn't, though, it'll be you, right?
But young people are going to inherit what old guys like me leave, and it's not a pretty picture. No wonder they are concerned. But you know, I started the David Suzuki Foundation 20 years ago, and I made a fundamental error then because we thought we had 10 years. World Watch Institute had said this is a turnaround decade. We've got 10 years. So I said we're going to spend every penny we get. We're going to spend because we're going to be out of business in 10 years. And people said, well, we got to start educating kids in schools. And I said, no, we don't have time. We don't have time for them to grow up and replace us. Fundamental mistake. That was a big mistake. Not because, you know, we still don't have time for them to grow up.
Yeah.
But all of the young people, the two most important people on the planet are your moms and dads. And you go to them and say, Mom, I'm really worried. Dad, what are you doing for me? And we've got to bring this adult population to focus on the kinds of issues that young people already know about.
You know, even though you are in your self-proclaimed death zone, you're still working a lot. You're going to South America in the next little while. You're keeping up on this. Aside from places like Germany, on this side of the world, do you see things happening?
Oh, lots. Yeah. Lots. And that's why I can't overemphasize what Ontario has done by putting in a feed-in tariff. And I know that there are critics that are saying, oh, they're paying, you know, 10 times as much for solar energy as we should be paying. But the reality is, I guarantee you, that feed-in tariff is going to create huge numbers of jobs.
In Ottawa, the reality is, regardless of what the Green Party or the NDP say, that the one or two parties is going to form the government in this country, barring a miracle or to some a disaster. It's going to be the Liberals or the Conservatives. Do you view either of them as being in a position to take this forward? In Ontario, it's a Liberal government, but provincial is different than federal.
Yeah, I'm astonished, actually, at the Conservative government, because when people ask me, what are you? I always say I'm a Conservative. What a Conservative says is, save some for tomorrow. Don't go too fast, live within your means. That's a Conservative. A Radical says, oh, go in and clear cut that forest, put a dam up here, flood that valley. You know, that's a Radical to me. That's an eco-terrorist. Right. But the Conservative Party, which claims that they're conservative is a radical party. And I'm astonished because I would have thought that Mr. Harper would understand that. He has refused to see me. Now, okay, I'm no important guy, but all of the leaders of the other parties have met with me. Mr. Harper doesn't. Now, the problem is this. The Liberals talked a line. They signed Kyoto and all that. They didn't do anything.
Right.
So I really think it's up to the public now to say, this is important to me. I want my dollars spent. I want the commitment made.
What's going on in South America?
You know, did you see Avatar?
I did.
You all see Avatar? Well, guess what? Avatar is not just on Pandora. Avatar is happening right here.
There are blue people on horses? What? What are you talking about?
Not quite. They're a little different.
Yeah.
But there are South American Indians that are fighting for their territory. And there are countries in South America now, Bolivia has got Evo Morales, who's the first indigenous person to be the president of a country. And guess what they've done? They have incorporated Pachamama, which is Mother Nature, in their constitution, so that trees and fish and birds have constitutional rights.
But there's a battle for it, isn't there?
But there's a battle right next door in Peru. Peru has just opened up the country, and the Indians there have said, we're going to go to war because we don't want you destroying Pachamama.
And you're going to go down there and check it out?
And we're going to, well, we have to, this is a story that Canadians should know about.
Absolutely.
And some of those companies are Canadian companies, so we got to know about them.
The book is called More Good News. David Suzuki, everybody.